This sculpture project is a way to build your understanding of 3D form by using chicken wire to build a basic form, tape, paper mache, and paint to render your form however your character looks. You can start with a planning page where you get a front view and a side view. This will help you when you're starting to build out the different parts of your sculpture. What I'm going to do is take a rectangular piece of chicken wire. I'm going to fold it in on itself to create a cylinder. To do this, I'm also going to wrap those edges around each other so that there's a really secure attachment and so it's not going to flex or move too much once it's fully attached. Push it in on itself. You're going to round out the shape, and again, you're twisting different parts of it onto itself to create a really secure attachment. You don't want a lot of movement in your structure because it's going to be the base for the rest of your sculpture. Once you have the general form that you want, you can squish it down. You could make it a little bit shorter, compare it to your drawing to make sure you have the basic form that you need, because it's going to be the starting point for the rest of your pieces. Cut out additional pieces. What I would do, if you have a shape that is mirrored, so let's say you have 2 arms and 2 legs, I would cut them out at the same time so you ensure they're the same size. And then I would create a 3D form out of them. So you can see I've got these 2 pieces here. I'm going to do the exact same thing to both of them. So I'm starting with my cylinder shape, and then I'm going to attach one end to the body to create that connection. Attach the arms by wrapping one end into the body. You want to triangulate that chicken wire, so try to attach one piece or one wire to different parts of the body so that it has a really strong connection. So I have my basic form. I'm comparing at every step back to my drawing to make sure the proportions are correct. Is the elbow meeting where it should on the body? Is the arm the right length, etc.? And then I'm going to go ahead and build on the legs. Once you have what's essentially the skeleton of your sculpture, you can then use newspaper to bulk out different areas that need a little bit more adjusting to the size or the shape. So here I'm just wrapping the head in a bit of newspaper, and then I'm securing it using masking tape. When you're using masking tape, I would recommend taking off long strips, putting them aside for yourself that you can easily use quickly. It helps make the process a lot more efficient. Here I'm taking more newspaper, I'm building out a bit more around the stomach because I think it needs to be a bit wider, and then I'm wrapping all of my pieces, or my entire piece, in masking tape. I'm using the newspaper as kind of a buffer. You don't have to, you could tape directly onto the chicken wire. You will maybe notice you see a bit of the chicken wire texture if you go directly on it with masking tape. It's really up to you how you want to render your sculpture. Once your tape covers absolutely everything on your sculpture, then you are ready to start in on your paper mache. I would mix your paper mache in a plastic bag. Make sure it's fully sealed so it doesn't have any dust that you're inhaling as you work, and it's just a little bit cleaner to work with. Once you've mixed your paper mache to a consistent texture, you're going to take it with your hands and just press it onto your sculpture. You want to work in thin layers with your paper mache so that it dries evenly. Work with a cup of water next to you. You can dip your hands into the water and it will make the paper mache stick to your hands less. It will also help you smooth out the texture of the paper mache, though I'd recommend using the water to smooth it out as a last step. If you're not able to achieve the smoothness that you want, you could also use a palette knife to smooth out all your different edges. This kind of tool is also great for getting into those small areas that you can't quite reach otherwise. You can wait for your paper mache to dry and then work across multiple days. You can apply layer after layer to smooth out different areas, to build up areas that need building out, until you've reached your desired form and shape and texture. So here we are a few days later. It's fully dry. It's decently smooth, but I could also take some sandpaper to it to smooth out those edges even more. For getting into small areas with sandpaper, I recommend wrapping the sandpaper around a smaller tool, like a paintbrush or a pencil. If there are areas you still want to build out, so let's say you have a small detail that your character is holding, or you just want to further build out the base so your character will stand, you can use air dry clay and This will dry a little bit quicker, it will have a smoother finish, and you can work with it a little bit differently than the paper mache. The final step is to paint your 3D sculpture. So look back at your reference images, look at your sketch, and paint it as you have seen it. The final product should look something like you're planning. If it doesn't, that's totally okay. It's a new process. Just the fact that you've experimented with it is a great first step.